Hello and welcome to the Knit Shift episode 101. My name is Laura and today is Saturday, January 20th, 2018. Thank you so much for joining me today. Whether it is your first visit to the Knit Shift or we have spent time together before, I really appreciate you choosing to spend a little bit of your day with me today. Show notes can be found at theknitshift.com. This episode is available on iTunes and YouTube and will be embedded with show notes at the blog. I am on Ravelry as Yarnstormer. I am on Instagram as Laura Mahalski, and we do have a group for the podcast on Ravelry. If you go to the groups tab and search for the Knit Shift, you will find us. So thank you for checking in with me today. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to record today. It's about 3:30 on Saturday afternoon, and it's a lot later in the day than I normally podcast. I have had a schedule change at work. I'm officially off now on Fridays and Saturdays. Yay! I'm so excited about that. It means Josh and I will have a day off together, and I'm thrilled about that. I had hoped this would happen in maybe a year after starting at my job, but here it is 5 months in, almost 6 months in, and it's happened. So I am over the moon about it. And we went out last night for the first time to celebrate, and I will tell you about that later. Yeah, so I was going to have to work today. If you are in the US and keeping tabs on news, or if you're not in the US and you're keeping tabs on the news, you might have heard the US federal government is shut down right now. There's no spending bill passed. I did not work last night when the deadline was approaching because, again, it was my new weekend, Friday, Saturdays, and I felt a little bit guilty about that. I can't lie. Here it is, the first government shutdown in 4.5 years, and I'm not at work at the newspaper, but them's the breaks. So they asked if people would be willing to work overtime today, and I volunteered yes. So I was kind of on the cusp about whether they would need me or not. They said they'd let me know kind of when the shift arrived, you know, depending on the needs. So I logged on from home, and they didn't need me after all. And I had convinced myself that I was working today. So all of a sudden, I have this evening free that I didn't plan on. So I don't know, I didn't know what to do with myself. So I did a little cleaning, and I told myself that I could record a podcast if I finish my cleaning and, you know, hustled, because it is 3:30, it's still winter, the light is not as good as it normally is, you know, in the first thing in the morning, just because of the way it moves across my apartment. But looking at my camera, the light looks okay, so I think hopefully you guys will be able to see me okay too. I have several finished objects to share with you and a work in progress, so let us get to it. My first finished object of the year is a pair of socks. I am so happy with these. This is my first FO of the year, so obviously it's my first pair of socks for the year. This is just a basic pair of stockinette socks knit out of Into the World Gloucester sock, and the colorway is Captain Tight Pants. This is an 80/20 superwash merino nylon blend, and it's really fat and squishy. It's not like a lot of the other 80/20 bases that are out there. I think Into the World has an exclusive on their base, and it's really nice. If I got to knit with this base again, Gloucester sock, I would do it again. In fact, if I'm going to Maryland Sheep and Wool this year, which I will be because it's in my backyard now, I will be hitting up the Into the World booth in the hopes of getting some more of this base. I bought this at Maryland Sheep and Wool probably 4 or 5 years ago. And Captain Tight Pants, the colorway name, it's a reference to Firefly, the TV show, if you're familiar, the Joss Whedon show. So I love the way this turned out. This is not self-striping, it's just a multicolor that kind of sort of stripes up a little bit. You can see the stripes aren't perfect. They kind of zigzag. And I'm so happy with these. I knit these on a size 1 because, again, the yarn is a little bit thicker than what I normally knit with, so I knit a size 1. I think I knit these over 60 stitches, which is, again, on the small side for me. I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel and carried on up the leg and did a 2x2 rib for about 25 rounds. So obviously I still need to tie to weave in the ends, but these are probably for me. I could save them for a gift down the road for someone, but I really like these and I think I'm gonna keep them for myself. So that is my first FO. The other FO was not even a work in progress on this podcast, which is always nice when that happens. It makes me feel really efficient. And it is a hat with a massive pom-pom. So this is the Lemonade Shop Simple Sock in the colorway Smudge. And let me pull up my notes. I think this is also an 80/20 superwash merino nylon blend. I don't have it in my notes, but I'm pretty sure it's an 80/20 blend. So let me try it on for you guys. It's gonna mess up my hair. Not that my hair is in any great shape right now anyway. So I knit this. It's kind of a pattern of my own devising. It's a recipe more than a pattern. I wanted to have it be a little slouchy for my big old curly hair. And I feel like it mostly accomplished that. But I wanted to give myself the option to fold the brim up so that I could have a more jaunty pom-pom. And I thought I was only gonna wear it slouchy, but once I folded the brim up, I was like, oh, I really like this with the jaunty pom-pom. So I might actually wear it folded up more than I'll wear it slouchy, because I think the pom-pom just looks really good. It is a little flippy floppy. I need to tie it on a little bit better. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Let me take this off and not, well, my hair is just gonna be kind of a mess for the rest of the episode, so be it. So I knit this with a size 1 and a size 1.5 needle. I cast on 124 stitches in a size 1, and I knit the ribbing for what felt like forever. So it's a nice tight ribbing, and you can see it is white and black, but then there are these occasional little spots of brown. There's some purple. There's just tiny little bits of color. Very, very rare. This pom-pom, and I got this yarn at Fiber Space when my mom was in town for after Christmas. And the pom-pom also came from Fiber Space, and it is faux fur. Let me do a little pom-pom shake. And it is enormous and beautiful, and it's red with black tips. And the pom-pom came with a ribbon that I just kind of wove through, and in fact I'm gonna untie it. I won't take it off completely, but it came with just a ribbon of about maybe 5 or 6 inches on each side, and you can tie it on, and that way if you need to wash your hat you can untie it. So let me just loosen this pom-pom up so I can tighten it later. So yeah, that's my second FO of the year. So pretty excited about that. Happy to have 2 FOs for the month of January. Don't really think I'll have a third, but we'll see. This is how much yarn I have left from the hat. So about half the cake. And I also have probably 20 grams left of my sock yarn from my pair of socks. And that brings us to works in progress. I have one to show you and one other one to talk about. So I've been carrying this sock in my new Bink Waffle bag, which was a gift from Josh for Christmas. And I have this awesome pen on it. I'm sorry, pin, not pen. I think that's pretty amazing. And it is a pair of socks for myself. So my birthday is about 3 weeks away. It's February 11th. So I decided to cast on a pair of socks for myself so that ostensibly by my birthday, I will have a pair of socks for myself. And I was like, it's my birthday. I put a photo on Instagram of the 2 skeins I was thinking about knitting. One was a Valentine's Day colorway from Lush Knits, and the other was a skein of Miss Babs Caroline, which is a merino cashmere nylon, and I picked it up at Rhinebeck this year. And I asked for you guys to vote, and it wasn't a binding vote. I just kind of wanted to know what you guys thought I should knit, and overwhelmingly people voted for the Miss Babs. I think because I mentioned that it has cashmere in it. So this is the Rhinebeck 2017 colorway. And I just think it is so gorgeous. I love how this is knitting up. This is the front of the foot. I put a stitch marker on just so I know which is the front and which is the back of the foot. And yeah, these are size 0 needles, Chiaogus, and it's really soft, really squishy yarn. I don't think these will wear super well. It is a 70-20-10 superwash merino cashmere nylon, so 70% merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. Most of the MCNs are only 10% cashmere, so this is extra luxurious with it being 20% cashmere. So I'm almost ready to do the heel. I think that now that I have the day off, I am going to spend the evening knitting and just hanging out and maybe watching some Netflix. So I will be surprised if I can't turn the heel tonight. And I really knit this almost entirely on the train this past week, going to and from work. So yeah, really happy with these. And that's the only work in progress I have. The only other thing I really wanted to talk about today was a work in progress I'm thinking about frogging. I'm not someone who frogs impulsively. I need to think it over and make sure I'm ready to make that take that plunge. But now that I look at it, it's so pretty. I don't know. I'm so conflicted, you guys. So I've been working on this shawl. This is the Sprites Fen shawl by Helen Stewart, Curious Handmade. I've had this in progress since the springtime, and I'm a little worried. I should have made the needles a little bigger. I believe these are size 6 needles, and I'm just worried it's not quite lacy enough and that it won't be a big enough FO. But it's so pretty and soft. This is another MCN. This is Yoth Yarn on the House Little Brother. It's an 80-10-10 superwash merino nylon. I have 2 skeins of it, so like 870 yards. I'm only about 15% into it, but it feels like this really long process to knit this shawl. Helen Stewart on her patterns spells out the pattern row by row, and she does a percentage system so you know when you're 5% done, 10% done, 15% done. And I think a lot of people find that helpful, but right now I'm just finding it demoralizing because, oh, I'm only 15% done with the shawl, that kind of thing. So maybe I'll pick this up for a little tonight and keep knitting, but part of me wants to frog it, and yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted. This is why I can't just go ahead and frog it. I really need to make sure I'm ready to frog it. But I also don't believe in knitting on something you don't love, but I like this shawl. I think it's gonna be beautiful if I finish it, but I don't know. I'm just feeling a little bit of a malaise because I really want to knit another big shawl, and I do think that a 2 skein shawl knit out of sock yarn would be quite big. I'm finding that is what I really like for my commute right now. It's been really cold, and having an enormous shawl is like amazing and perfect, and I want to knit another enormous shawl, but I want more neutral shawls too. So I don't know, I'm just all a Twitter, and I don't know, I can't decide. Right now though, my hands are just wanting to knit socks, and I want a shawl without putting the work in a little bit. I don't know, it's just it's a hint of a knitting funk is how I'll put it. So we'll see what I decide to do with that shawl. Maybe I'll pick it up and work on it with the sock tonight a little bit and see how I feel about things. But that's it for the knitting content. I got 2 FOs over the past few weeks because I traveled to Ohio last weekend. I visited my brother and his wife and my niece and my parents, and I had so much knitting time between the plane and just hanging out at my brother and sister-in-law's house and that kind of stuff. So that's how I was able to get so much done on the socks and the hat. In fact, I finished these socks at my brother and sister-in-law's house. I was thinking I finished them on the plane, but I don't think that was the case. I think I finished them once I was in Ohio. So yeah, I was in Ohio. I don't think I said that yet, but that's where they live. And it was really nice. My niece is 10 months old, and she is just hilarious and, you know, laughing and smiling, and she's not crawling, she's not walking yet, but she is super fun to play with down on the floor, and she loves listening to books. She loves to be read to. She's kind of like the hall monitor. She just wants to know where everyone is at all times. So my sister-in-law was sitting on the floor reading books to her, and Olivia, I couldn't really see Olivia, I could just see Megan, my sister-in-law, and then all of a sudden, like here, I could see the, you know, Megan with the book, and then all of a sudden, this little baby head just peeks around the corner. It was like she wanted to make sure I was paying attention. And if I didn't join her in the kitchen when she was eating at her high chair, she would like turn around looking for me, like, why isn't everyone here? So she's the leaner. She's always leaning and looking and watching people. So that was really cute. So it was just a really nice weekend. I stayed with them my first night, and then I stayed with my parents the other 2 nights I was there. My parents and I went to see The Post together, which I had seen through work before it was released. They arranged a screening for employees, and it was a wonderful experience, and I loved the movie. And I really hope to see it with my parents. We weren't able to go in December. It was out in limited release here in Washington, D.C., but it was not out nationwide yet. So it came out nationwide the week I arrived, I think, in Ohio. So we went to see it Sunday morning. Well, a week ago. It was a week ago I was in Ohio. So my parents loved it. It was really special because I work at the Post, and they enjoyed it so much. And my mom said she's really glad that she got to visit the Post in person before the movie, or she would have been like extra emotional walking around the newsroom, which was so sweet and funny. So I'm so glad they enjoyed it. Meryl Streep is amazing in it, and Tom Hanks is great. So I highly recommend it. I know I'm biased, but I really can't recommend it enough. After we saw the movie though, the weekend kind of went off the rails for me. I don't know if I got food poisoning or if I had a stomach bug, but I got really sick. I'm prone to car sickness anyway, and my parents and my brother live about an hour apart, and I had to sit in the back seat behind the passenger side, which is like the spot that always makes me feel car sick. So I sat back there and I just felt really sick, and you know, I just kind of closed my eyes and covered my eyes with the hood of my coat so that I couldn't even like see the light moving in before my eyes. And we hung out with my sister-in-law and the baby Sunday night. My brother was at work, and we got takeout, and I was just not really hungry. I think I got a chicken soft taco and a soup, and I gave the soup to my dad. I just couldn't eat it, and ate part of the taco. And then I was flying home Monday morning. So I wasn't feeling well, and then we went back to my parents' house, and I went to bed at like 8 or 8:30 that night. I was exhausted, and I just felt sicker and sicker. And then around 10:30 or 11, I had taken a bowl to bed in case I got sick, and it was really smart that I did, because I got up through the night and barfed multiple times. I felt so awful. I have to say that being sick as an adult, if you have to do it, being able to be at your parents' house while it's happening is about the best possible scenario, because my mom was like passing cleaning stuff through the bathroom door to me. But my parents' dog is a bit skittish, and I had met her when she's still a puppy, but I had met her when she was only like 6 months old back in the summertime. She's about a year old now. And she was very distrustful of me, and every time I would get up in the night to go to the bathroom down the hall from my parents, she would bark from my parents' room, and she would wake my parents up. And unfortunately, my sickness meant I was up like every hour and a half. I've rarely felt so sick in my life as I did Sunday night, overnight Monday, and I kept thinking, how am I going to be able to get on the plane and fly home? I mean, it's only one flight. It's like barely an hour, but I worried that I was going to be sick and I wouldn't make it to the bathroom, and I was so miserable. It was absolutely the worst. So thankfully, I'll spare you the details more than I've already shared, but I made it home, did not get sick on the plane or in the airport, slept most of Monday. I got home Monday by lunchtime, slept 4 or 5 hours, again went to bed at 8 o'clock, slept like 12 or 14 hours Monday night. I missed work on Tuesday because I felt so sick still. I hadn't eaten in 48 hours. I was getting kind of woozy. I ate some ginger ale and saltines eventually, so I was back on food by Wednesday night. But I had like 3 days where I basically didn't eat any food and was pretty miserable. But glad to say I feel a lot better, back to normal now, which is wonderful. And all's well that ends well. So yeah, so this week I watched the first season of The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. I had not seen that when it came out, but I'm really glad I watched it. It's very difficult to watch. It's depressing. It's very dark. It's very heavy, but it's really good. I have not read the book. the Margaret Atwood book that it's based upon, but I really enjoyed the show. What else did I do? I worked, and then last night Josh worked during the day, and then he came home and I said, why don't we go into DC and go out to dinner? So that's what we did. If we go out in DC, it's normally only after I get off of work on a Saturday night, because I don't get off work Saturdays, or I didn't get off work on Saturdays till 10 p.m. So we would go out and have like a late night bite. But we have not been able to like go out for like an actual dinner in Washington since we moved here, like 6 months ago almost. So that was really nice. So we took the subway in and went to the U Street corridor, and we ended up at a Mexican restaurant called Tico, and it was so good. It's kind of a tapas bar with small plate dishes, and we each had a margarita, which was really good, and we shared a few dishes, and every dish was so good. We had chips and salsa, and it was 3 kinds of salsa. Josh got chorizo, and it was house-made chorizo, which is like a spicy sausage. We shared mac and cheese, and I had pulled beef tacos, and he had a taco and I had a taco, and we kind of shared everything, and it was really nice. And afterward we walked over across the street to Jenny's Ice Creams, which is an Ohio-based company, and they do like fancy ice cream, and we had ice cream for dessert. And then we took the train back home, and we were home by like 10:30, which was kind of awesome because we like to go to bed early. He goes to bed early all the time, but on my days off, I really like to go to bed early when possible. So it was a really nice night. So yeah, that is about all I've been up to the past few weeks, and I hope to be back with you guys in 2 more weeks. I don't know what my recording schedule, when I will record during the week now that I have changed days off. I don't know if I'll keep recording on my day off, which would be Friday, or if I will stick to recording on a Monday morning like I had been. So stay tuned for that. So until next time, guys, take care, happy stitching, and I will see you soon.